guys, it's Jessica from Audacity. I am here with our dear friend and occasional writer for the magazine, Mr. Ariston Teleo. Will Smith. We're really happy to have you, Ariston, and we're so happy that you chose to be here today with what we're about to talk about. So, as we know, we are in the wake of a historic time for the Black Lives Matter movement. It's gone global, Minneapolis is turning up, and this is a really good time for us as Black people, should we choose to do so, to consider new opportunities for helping our non-Black counterparts realign and guide them in the better direction to understanding our struggle for the last 400 years as a race.
And to be direct, we as Black Americans understand how bad this American school system failed to tell the truth about Black American history, Black American events. They didn't go into the proper details. So everything was essentially a very high level story being told. The best people, I believe, to tell this story, which is our story, is us. And that's why we would like to give a little bit of direction and guidance as a recommendation if you choose to do this with our non-Black counterparts. To start off, to help spread awareness, the first place is going to be at work. That is if your job has not at least sent out a memo internally or some external statement to acknowledge the injustices that are going on, this is an opportunity for you to speak up. You can choose to either go directly to HR yourself, your manager, a colleague to support you, whatever you need to help make this initiative go forward, go for it. Not speaking up, this is not the time to be silent at all. And also understand from an HR and legality perspective, you're covered. Like, they should not be able to retaliate on you for trying to express your honest opinion. And given there's a good chance that one of your rivalry industry companies have already made a statement themselves, that's you holding your company accountable to at least recognize and acknowledge what's going on in the world.
Absolutely. And the next step from there is to make sure that you have conversations with your friends and family, the people who are really close to you and are more likely to share some of your ideologies and thinking. So one of the ways you can do that is, just schedule Zoom calls, Google Duo, Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, whatever it is that you use to see everybody face to face, and open up the conversation about what is going on in the world. Be prepared to just understand and accept that you might not be able to deliver the narrative the same way a Black person could because you haven't lived through it, but that's totally okay, and an effort is an effort.
And to expand on the friends and family, do not be afraid to understand that children need to be taught as well. Any person of color, minority here in America, who's born here, raised here, they probably experienced racism before the age of 10 years old. It's a very good chance. At the latest, middle school. I promise you that. So if racism is being taught that early in a child's life, you must teach anti-racism that early in a child's life. Do not stray away from it. Go ahead and tackle it heads on. It may seem difficult, but it will help guide the child for the long run.
For sure. And then the next step for you from here would be to do some self-education. So one of the best ways to do that is old school. Pick up a book. We have a list of some media that we recommend for you guys. One is Fragility. That's by DiAnelo. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. And Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, written by himself. This is written by Frederick Douglass as these events were happening.
And to complement the books that are read, we also recommend a few movies and documentaries. One of the first movies I recommend is Mississippi Burning. It's a movie that's found on Amazon Prime. It's free if you have a membership, a few dollars, $3 or $4 if you have to rent it. Another movie is 12 Years a Slave, which is also on Amazon Prime. It's a few dollars to rent as well. It definitely depicts and paints the picture of what slavery truly looked like that you would not find in our American school system textbooks at all. A third documentary is going to be 13th. It can be found on Netflix. Everybody has Netflix, it seems, or they have someone's account. 13th definitely is a great understanding of systematic racism here in America that's been going on for generations, which is still affecting the Black community here today.
Absolutely. And then from there, you want to start looking at historical events. So that would include the Tuskegee Experiment, Redlining, as well as the Black Wall Street Massacre. I can talk tonight, y'all. The Black Wall Street Massacre, and lastly, the Atlanta Race Riot. Once you have done the work to self-educate yourself, go ahead and don't be afraid to get out there and speak to a Black person. This can be anybody. This can be someone who is your friend already. This could be a colleague. This could be an old teammate or an old classmate, someone who you think would be comfortable and open to the conversation so that you can learn a little bit more about what the existential struggle is for a Black person living in the United States. And in addition to that, you can even talk to strangers. I mean, we're going to protest right now. It's a great time to meet people. And more than likely, they'll be ready to listen to you because they see that you're there and you're making an effort. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and try to learn more.
And also in that, be aware that at this time in America for Black Americans all across the country, it's a very emotionally exhausting situation to be in. I'm sure everyone's had some form of outreach, and when you start to tell your story and start to direct and guide, freestyle in the moment, it's emotionally exhausting because at some point, one way or another, we're going to probably be experiencing some kind of mental trauma, realization and remembrance that is going to exhaust us in the process. So if somebody says, hey, I'll talk to you later about it, or let's schedule a call later on to talk about it, don't be offended by it. Don't take it personal. Another thing too is understand too, when someone does open up to you to tell their experience or to help guide and direct you, understand one Black person does not speak for all Black people. We all have different realities based off location, where we live, socioeconomic backgrounds, but regardless of what background we come from, we all probably experience racism to the general core one way or another. And that's one commonality that every Black person here in America probably has. And also, one of the recommendations when you do want to reach out and have a conversation, it's great to have done the self-education first before you reach out. At that point, when you say, hey, you might have said, I read this book, I watched this movie, I want to ask a little bit more detail or ask a little bit for clarity, something, whatever you feel like you missed that you want to know, that will help invite somebody to want to probably engage better, knowing that you've done some research on your own.
For sure. And last but not least, as you are doing all of these things and as you're watching what is happening on the news, the main thing we want to really drive home is to make sure that you keep what's going on, the overcompassing situation in mind. We want you to focus on the sickness, not the symptom. In this case, the sickness is 400 years of systemic oppression that has now emboldened police brutality and has historically been known to be a serious oppression factor for Black people, and that's putting it lightly. So when you go on the news and you see things about like riots and looting and burning and protests and further police brutality against protesters by the local police, understand that those things are just small little etches and scratches on the surface as to what is going on here that people are truly angry and hurt about.
And to also remember too that the ones who are causing the riot damage, it's a very small percentage of the whole population out there that's clearly peacefully protesting. So do not get stuck on the symptoms, cure the sickness, then there is no symptoms. Just a final reminder here, what we've given you is just a beginning guide. There is a lot more information, a lot more history to be found. You must have the will and want to take the initiative as well to go look and find it. That's it. Google is going to be your best friend forever to help find more on Black history and Black events that have occurred.
Absolutely. Make sure you fact check it too. Make sure you know what you're reading. Read between the lines at all times, guys. So if you like what you saw tonight, first of all, thank you, Ariston Teleo.
Thank you, Jessica.
We're really happy that you decided to jump in on this conversation with us. It's super important, super relevant to what's going on right now. If you like what you saw tonight, we want feedback. We would like to see what kind of content you want, and we want to know how we can continue to bring that to you. So if you like what you see, like this video. If you want to give us some feedback or just tell us how great we're doing, hit the comments below, tag us in it, message us. We want to know what's going on with you. And of course, share, and share. If you really think this is something that has touched you and that maybe someone will be interested in seeing, share it, let us know. We're happy to keep spreading the word. But until then, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. And we'll see you guys real soon.
Thank you. Everybody stay safe.